I completed my assignment, but the alien princess demands more. Arrival on Xyloria. The descent through Xyloria's atmosphere left Liam Reed breathless. Swirling gases in vibrant turquoise and magenta parted to reveal crystalline spires that pierced the violet skies. After 3 months in cryosleep aboard the interstellar vessel Harmony, Earth's newest ambassador to the Xylorian Empire was finally arriving at his post. First time on a non-oxygen world? Asked Dr. Maya Chen, the ship's xenobiologist, as she adjusted his breathing apparatus. The membrane will feel strange for about a week, then you'll forget it's there. Liam nodded, running his tongue along the thin film covering his airways. Strange to think something so delicate is all that stands between me and respiratory collapse. Xylorians breathe nitrogen-methane compounds that would be toxic to us. Remember your diplomatic briefings, they find our oxygen equally poisonous. Separate atmospheres, separate quarters. She paused. Separate everything, Ambassador Reed. The diplomatic compound gleamed like polished obsidian against the red clay landscape. A welcoming party waited on the landing platform. Tall, willowy figures with skin in various shades of purple and blue, adorned with ceremonial attire that rippled despite the absence of wind. Welcome to Xyloria, Ambassador Reed, said a male official with cobalt skin. I am Talon Rift, Royal Chamberlain. Her Majesty Queen Vestra sends her regards and looks forward to your formal introduction tomorrow. Liam bowed in the Xylorian manner, right arm across chest, left extended. The people of Earth are honored by your hospitality. You will be escorted to your quarters to recover from your journey. Tomorrow, Princess Nyra will personally oversee your cultural orientation. Liam nodded, recalling his briefing on the royal family. Princess Nyra Zorn, heir to the Xylorian throne, renowned scholar of comparative civilizations, and reportedly skeptical of the human-Xylorian alliance. Dawn on Xyloria arrived with a burst of crimson light from its binary stars. Liam stood at his quarters viewport, adjusting his formal Earth diplomatic uniform when the door chimed. She entered like shadow-made flesh, tall and graceful. Princess Nyra's lavender skin seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Her eyes, large, almond-shaped, and iridescent silver, assessed him coolly. Her head was adorned with crystalline growths that Liam recognized as signs of royal lineage. Ambassador Reed, she said, her translator converting her melodic language to English. I trust your accommodations are adequate. More than adequate, Your Highness. I'm honored by your personal welcome. It is protocol, nothing more. Her expression remained impassive. My mother believes understanding your species is essential to maintaining our alliance. I am to be your guide to Xylorian culture, and you are to instruct me in human customs. As she gestured for him to follow, Liam noticed the subtle patterns that appeared and faded on her skin. A biological communication system his briefings had mentioned, but hadn't prepared him for. The effect was mesmerizing. Is something amiss, Ambassador? She asked, catching his gaze. Forgive me, Your Highness. I've never seen bioluminescence in a sentient being before. Something flickered across her features, annoyance, perhaps curiosity, and I have never met a creature whose emotions remain hidden beneath unchanging skin. How do your kind communicate true feelings without chromatic shifts? We find other ways, Liam replied with a smile. Words, expressions, actions. How inefficient, she remarked. But a pattern of bright dots appeared briefly along her slender arms, a sign of interest despite her cool tone. As they walked through the crystalline corridors of the royal palace, Liam realized this assignment would challenge far more than his diplomatic skills. Princess Nyra was an enigma, beautiful, intelligent, and completely alien. And despite every protocol warning against personal entanglements, he couldn't help but want to understand what lay beneath her luminous exterior. Tomorrow we begin formal cultural exchange sessions, she announced as they reached the palace's inner sanctum. Come prepared to explain human concepts of attachment and loyalty. Our intelligence suggests these are areas where our species differ significantly. As you wish, Your Highness. As she turned to leave, a subtle ripple of violet light cascaded down her spine, a pattern Liam wasn't familiar with from his briefings. Whatever it meant, he had the distinct feeling that his time on Xyloria would be anything but predictable. Cultural exchanges. The Royal Botanical Gardens of Xyloria sprawled across 3 acres of the palace grounds, housing plant species that defied Earth classifications. Floating luminescent pollen drifted between crystal trees whose branches chimed softly in the breeze. It was here that Liam and Princess Nira had been conducting their cultural exchange sessions for the past 2 weeks. So in human courtship rituals, physical touch holds significance beyond mere data exchange? Nira asked, her silver eyes narrowing as she made notes on her translucent tablet. Liam cleared his throat. Yes. Touch can communicate comfort, affection, desire, many emotions that words sometimes cannot. Fascinating. A ripple of bright blue dots appeared along her neck before quickly fading. Xylorians consider direct physical contact deeply intimate, reserved only for family units and bonded pairs. Then I'll be careful not to offend, Liam said, deliberately maintaining a respectful distance as they walked between rows of floating orchid-like flowers. Your consideration is noted, she replied, though her tone had softened since their first meeting. These sessions have been more enlightening than I anticipated. A rustle from behind a crystalline tree formation interrupted them. Commander Vex Dorn emerged, his deep indigo skin marked with the geometric patterns denoting military rank. His eyes, darker and smaller than Nira's, fixed on Liam with undisguised suspicion. Your Highness, he bowed deeply to Nira before acknowledging Liam with the barest nod. The Queen requests your presence at the council meeting. Thank you, Vex, Nira replied. Ambassador Reed and I were just concluding today's exchange. Indeed, it appeared rather informal for diplomatic relations. Vex's skin flashed with sharp red patterns that required no translation. Nira straightened, royal authority evident in her posture. The ambassador is teaching me human customs as directed by my mother. Your concern, while appreciated, is unnecessary. After Vex departed with obvious reluctance, Nira turned to Liam. You must forgive Commander Dorn. He has been my companion since childhood. We were expected to form a bonded pair before the alliance with Earth became priority. I understand, Liam said, though something unexpected twisted in his chest at her revelation. Political marriages exist on Earth too. It is not merely political. Her skin darkened slightly. Vex hasn't feelings that I have not reciprocated in the manner he desires. The conversation had ventured into territory far more personal than their previous exchanges. Liam found himself wanting to know more but restrained himself. Your Highness, I should not interfere in personal matters. Is that not the purpose of cultural exchange? To understand the personal as well as the political? A pattern of light danced across her arms, intricate and beautiful. Tomorrow I wish to show you the celestial chamber. It houses our historical records of first contact with your world. As she departed toward the council chambers, Liam watched the graceful movement of her tall, slender form. He was beginning to recognize certain patterns in her bioluminescence. Curiosity, amusement, and something else he couldn't quite identify that appeared only when they were alone. That evening, Liam received an unexpected visitor to his quarters. Mila Tavik, the princess's advisor, stood at his door, her azure skin bearing the patterns of royal household staff. Ambassador Reed, I come with concerns, she said without preamble. The princess has requested exclusive cultural sessions with you. This is unprecedented. I assure you our exchanges are strictly professional, Liam replied. Mila's expression remained neutral, but her skin flickered with skepticism. Princess Nira has declined 17 potential bonding arrangements since becoming of age. The court whispers it is because of her fascination with alien cultures. Her eyes met his directly. Now she spends hours each day with you. What exactly are you implying, Advisor Tavik? I imply nothing. I warn you that Commander Dorn views you as a rival, and the Queen is watching closely. The princess bears the future of our world in her decisions. She moved to leave, but paused. Her bioluminescence patterns change when she speaks of you. Be careful, Ambassador. Not all on Xyloria welcome the human alliance. After she left, Liam stood at his viewport, gazing at the twin moons rising over the alien landscape. Professional boundaries were clear in his mission directives, but his thoughts kept returning to the patterns of light that danced across Nira's lavender skin when she looked at him, and the answering response he felt within himself. Midnight Confessions. The celestial chamber lay deep beneath the palace, a vast spherical room whose walls projected the Xylorian night sky. Tiny crystals embedded in the ceiling mimicked stars, while holographic representations of planets and moons revolved in a slow dance around them. Our astronomers mapped these celestial bodies thousands of years before we developed space travel, Princess Naira explained as she guided Liam to the center of the chamber. This particular alignment occurs only once every 62 years. It begins tonight. They were alone, having come after the official palace functions had ended. Naira had changed from her formal court attire into simpler garments that still managed to accentuate her graceful form. "It's beautiful," Liam said, genuinely awestruck as the projection showed 5 planets moving into perfect alignment. During the alignment, our ancestors believed the veil between physical and spiritual realms thinned. Naira continued, her voice softer than he'd ever heard it. It was traditionally a time for truth-telling. Truth-telling? Xylorians believe deception creates disharmony in the universe. During the alignment, one could speak absolute truths without consequence. She moved closer, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight. "Would you participate in this tradition with me, Liam?" It was the first time she had used his given name, and the sound of it in her melodic voice sent an unexpected shiver through him. "I would be honored," he replied, aware they had crossed some invisible boundary. "Then I will begin." The patterns on her skin intensified, pulsing with brilliant light. "I requested to be your cultural liaison because I oppose the alliance with Earth. I wanted to find weakness in your kind, reasons to sever diplomatic ties." Liam's expression remained neutral despite his surprise. "And now? Now I find myself conflicted." Her bioluminescence shifted to patterns he'd never seen before, intricate swirls of violet and blue. "Your species fascinates me. You specifically fascinate me." The holographic planets aligned overhead, bathing them in ethereal light. Naira stepped closer still. "Your turn for truth," she whispered. Liam took a deep breath. "Since arriving on Xyloria, I've struggled to maintain professional distance. I think about our sessions when we're apart. I watch your bioluminescence and wish I understood every pattern. Would you like to?" Her hand hovered near his face, not quite touching. "Xylorians can share emotional impressions through proximity. It requires no physical contact, but creates a deeper understanding than words." Liam nodded, and Naira moved her hand until it was just centimeters from his cheek. Suddenly he felt a rush of sensations. Curiosity, admiration, attraction, conflict, emotions he recognized as mirroring his own. "This is how we truly communicate," she said, her voice barely audible. "What you feel now are my true thoughts regarding you." The intensity of the connection made Liam dizzy. Without thinking, he closed the small distance between them, his lips meeting hers in a human kiss. Her skin erupted in brilliant light, illuminating the entire chamber. When they separated, her expression was one of wonder. "That was unexpected," she breathed. "Is that how humans express attraction?" "One of many ways," Liam replied, still reeling from both the kiss and the emotional connection they'd shared. A sound at the chamber entrance broke the moment. Myla Tavik stood watching them, her expression grave. "Your Highness, Commander Dorn is searching for you," she said. "The Queen has announced a special council session for tomorrow." Naira's skin dimmed immediately, royal composure returning to her features. "Thank you, Myla. I trust this discovery remains between us." "Of course, Your Highness." Myla's eyes flicked to Liam. "But others may not be so discreet. The commander has been watching the ambassador's movements." After Naira departed with her advisor, Liam remained in the celestial chamber, watching the planetary alignment overhead. The diplomatic mission had just become infinitely more complicated and personally dangerous. Yet when he closed his eyes, all he could see was the brilliant light that had emanated from Naira's skin when their lips met, and he knew there was no going back. Royal obligations, the Grand Hall of Xyloria buzzed with anticipation. Crystalline structures amplified whispers into an ambient hum as nobles and dignitaries gathered for the Queen's announcement. Liam stood among the Earth delegation, his diplomatic mask firmly in place despite the turmoil within. 3 days had passed since the night in the celestial chamber. 3 days without private communication with Naira, who had been sequestered in royal preparations. The only message he'd received came through Myla. "Maintain discretion. All is not as it appears." Queen Vestra entered, her ancient form still commanding absolute reverence. Her deep purple skin bore the complex patterns of centuries, wisdom etched in light across her tall frame. Princess Nira followed, her expression unreadable, though Liam noticed her luminescence was dimmed to near darkness, a sign of emotional suppression. People of Xyloria, the Queen's voice resonated through the hall. The celestial alignment brings change and renewal. It is time for Princess Nira to fulfill her royal obligation. Liam's stomach tightened. The royal bloodline must continue. In 14 cycles, Princess Nira will bond with Commander Vex Dorn, uniting our most noble house with our strongest military lineage. The hall erupted in approving luminescence as Vex stepped forward, taking Nira's hand in a formal gesture. His indigo skin flashed triumphantly, the patterns deliberately exaggerated for all to see, particularly, Liam suspected, for the human ambassador's benefit. Nira's face remained composed, her duty to her people visibly overriding any personal desires. When her eyes briefly met Liam's across the crowded hall, her skin flickered momentarily with a pattern he'd seen only once before, in the celestial chamber. Dr. Chen nudged Liam discreetly. "You're expected to offer Earth's congratulations," she whispered. "And, Ambassador, your breathing rate has increased significantly. Control it before someone notices." Liam stepped forward, performed the formal bow, and delivered perfect diplomatic pleasantries. His voice betrayed nothing of the hollowness spreading through his chest. Later that evening, a chime at his quarters revealed not a visitor, but a small crystalline device, a royal communication orb. When activated, it projected Myla's image. "Ambassador, the princess requests your presence in the East Garden. Come alone, through the service corridors marked on this map. The guards have been temporarily reassigned." The garden was bathed in the light of both moons when Liam arrived. Nira stood beside a pool of luminescent liquid, her back to him. "I could not leave without explanation," she said without turning. "My mother believes the alliance with Earth is essential for Xyloria's future, but the Council remains unconvinced. My bonding to Vex is political necessity." "I understand duty, Nira," Liam replied softly. "I've served Earth's interests my entire career." She turned then, her skin illuminating with undisguised emotion. "What happened between us was unexpected, unprecedented. It cannot continue, yet I find myself unable to suppress these reactions when near you." "The timing of the announcement seems convenient," Liam observed. "After our night in the celestial chamber, Vex has spies. He reported our kiss to my mother." A cascade of light rippled down her arms. The bonding was already planned, but its announcement was accelerated to prevent further complications. Complications. "Is that what I am?" He couldn't keep the bitterness from his voice. "You are far more," she whispered, moving closer. "Which is why you must understand. I cannot risk the alliance for personal desire. Too many lives depend on stable relations between our worlds. So this is goodbye? This is reality, Liam. In 7 days you return to Earth. I remain here to fulfill my obligations to Xyloria." Her hand hovered near his face, not touching but close enough that he could feel the emotional impression. Sorrow, resignation, longing. "And if there were another way?" he asked. "There is not." Her luminescence dimmed. Unless what? "There is one tradition, ancient and rarely invoked, a challenge for the right to court royal blood." Her eyes met his, but no human could survive the trials. "It would be asking you to risk death for a future that remains impossible." A commotion at the garden entrance interrupted them. Commander Vex stood with 2 royal guards, his skin pulsing with angry red patterns. "I suspected I would find you here," he said coldly. "Consorting with an alien despite our announced bonding." "We were discussing diplomatic matters," Nira replied, royal authority in her voice. "Were you? Then why the secrecy?" Vex stepped closer, towering over Liam. "I've studied your species, Ambassador. Physically inferior, emotionally unstable, culturally primitive. You bring nothing to Xyloria that we need." Something in Liam snapped. "Then perhaps I should invoke the right of Cavern." Silence fell. Nira's skin flashed with shock. Vex's expression shifted from anger to disbelief. "You know of the ancient challenge?" Vex asked. "My cultural studies were thorough," Liam replied, though in truth he had only learned of it moments ago. "If I understand correctly, it gives me the right to prove my worthiness through trials of your choosing." Vex's laughter was cold. "No off-worlder has survived the Cavern in our history, but if you insist on this path to humiliation and death, I cannot deny you." He turned to Nira. "Unless Her Highness forbids it?" All eyes turned to the princess, whose luminescence had brightened to an intense glow. She straightened, royal dignity emanating from her tall form. "Ambassador Reed has the right to invoke the Cavern," she declared formally. "Let it be recorded and prepared. The challenge will commence tomorrow at first light." As Vex departed with barely concealed satisfaction, Naira touched Liam's arm, the first direct contact she had initiated. "You cannot know what you've done," she whispered. "The trials are designed for Xylorian physiology. Even if by some miracle you survived, the Council would never accept a human-Xylorian union." Liam covered her hand with his own. Some things are worth fighting for, even against impossible odds. Her skin illuminated with a pattern he had never seen before, one that required no translation across their different species. It was hope, fragile but undeniable. Defying gravity dawn broke with 3 suns cresting the horizon, a rare celestial event that Xylorian tradition held as auspicious. The ancient arena, carved from a single massive crystal, refracted the light into thousands of rainbows that danced across the assembled crowd. Liam stood at one entrance, Dr. Chen making final adjustments to his breathing apparatus. "The atmospheric composition in the arena will fluctuate wildly," she explained. "This modified membrane should adapt, but you'll experience discomfort." "And Liam," she added quietly, "the palace medical records I accessed show Xylorian strength exceeds human capability by approximately 2.4 times. "Encouraging," Liam muttered, "but their reaction time is slower in certain wavelengths of light." "Use that." She squeezed his shoulder. "This is madness, you know." "Probably," he agreed. The Queen's arrival silenced the spectators. Beside her, Naira stood resplendent in ceremonial attire, her skin carefully controlled to display only the formal patterns of royal observation. Commander Vex waited in the center of the arena, his military decorations glinting in the sunlight. "The cavern consists of 3 trials," the royal herald announced. "Strength, wisdom, and spirit. Victory requires success in 2. Failure in any trial may result in death." Queen Vestra raised her ancient hand. "This challenge has not been invoked in 7 generations. Ambassador Reed of Earth stands before us to claim the right of courtship to the royal bloodline. Commander Vex Dorn stands in opposition. Let the trials begin." The first trial, Strength, began immediately. The arena floor shifted, rising into a series of floating platforms suspended over a pool of bubbling fluid that Liam strongly suspected was not water. "A simple test," Vex announced. "Remain on the platforms while attempting to force your opponent into the dissolution pool below. First to make contact with the liquid concedes." The platforms began moving unpredictably as soon as the signal was given. Vex immediately launched himself at Liam with surprising speed, using his superior strength to nearly push the human off the edge. Liam stumbled backward, barely catching himself. The conventional approach would fail. Direct opposition to Xylorian strength was suicide. Instead, he remembered his combat training. Use an opponent's momentum against them. As Vex charged again, Liam sidestepped at the last moment, redirecting rather than resisting. The commander's momentum carried him dangerously close to the edge. Surprise registered in his luminescence. 3 more times Vex attacked, each time finding Liam yielding rather than opposing, each time coming closer to the edge himself. Frustration made the commander's attacks more aggressive but less controlled. "Stand and fight properly," Vex demanded. "I am fighting," Liam replied, "just not by your rules." When Vex made his final charge, Liam dropped flat to the platform. The commander, unable to stop, sailed over him and plunged into the dissolution pool with a hiss of chemical reaction. Guards quickly extracted him, his skin temporarily discolored but pride more permanently damaged. A murmur ran through the crowd. The human had won the first trial. The second trial, Wisdom, presented a series of untranslatable Xylorian philosophical riddles. Liam struggled despite his diplomatic training, while Vex, raised on these concepts, answered with practiced ease. The commander's triumphant look as he won the second trial promised a punishing final challenge. "The third trial tests spirit," the herald announced. "Participants must navigate the corridor of ancestors while maintaining emotional equilibrium. Xylorian monitors will read emotional patterns. Excessive disturbance results in failure." Liam entered a narrow passageway lined with crystals that pulsed with light. As he progressed, the crystals projected images. Earth's wars, environmental catastrophes, personal failures extracted from his own memories. The Xylorian test was designed for beings whose emotions manifested physically through bioluminescence. Without this biological response, Liam realized he had an advantage. His emotions, though turbulent within, remained invisible externally. When he emerged from the corridor, the monitors registered minimal disruption. Vex, following the same path, emerged with his skin flashing chaotically despite his military discipline. The crystal memories had affected him far more visibly. Silence fell as the Queen rose. "The challenge is complete," she announced. "Ambassador Reed has prevailed in 2 trials." Nyra's carefully controlled expression broke, her skin illuminating with brilliant patterns of joy that she could no longer suppress. The crowd's reaction was mixed: confusion, outrage from some quarters, curious acceptance from others. Vex stepped forward, his dignity reassembled. "Your Majesty, while the human has technically prevailed, royal tradition cannot possibly accommodate an alien consort. The biological incompatibility alone—" "Actually," interrupted an elderly council member, "the ancient texts speak of a prophecy. When the 3 suns rise as one and a star traveler claims royal right, new life will flow between worlds." She turned to the Queen. "We have interpreted this as metaphorical for generations. But perhaps—" Queen Vestra studied Liam thoughtfully. "The alliance with Earth has brought prosperity. Perhaps this union is the fulfillment of prophecy rather than its violation." She turned to her daughter. "Princess Nyra, your luminescence reveals your preference clearly. Does this human understand what courtship to Xyloria's heir entails?" Nyra stepped forward, her skin glowing with undisguised emotion. "He risked his life today knowing only that it might give us possibility. I believe he would risk much more to give us certainty." The Queen nodded. "Ambassador Reed, approach." Liam climbed the steps to the royal dais, aware of the historical significance of the moment, and far more aware of Nyra's proximity as he knelt before the Queen. "Rise. Liam Reed of Earth," the Queen commanded. "The Covenant grants you the right of courtship to Princess Nyra. This does not guarantee bonding, which must be earned through traditional Xylorian rituals over the coming cycle." Her ancient eyes held his. "It also binds you to Xyloria. Your diplomatic posting is hereby extended indefinitely." Later in the royal gardens, where crystal flowers chimed in the evening breeze, Nyra and Liam finally found a moment alone. "You realize this changes everything," she said, her fingers tentatively intertwining with his, a public gesture now permitted by her mother's decree. "The first human Xylorian courtship will be scrutinized by both our worlds." "Worth it," Liam replied simply, her skin illuminated with the pattern he now recognized as joy. "The bonding rituals are complex. Some may prove challenging for human physiology. I just survived the cavern. I think I can handle a few more challenges." He brushed his fingers gently along the luminescent patterns on her arm, watching them brighten at his touch. "Besides, I have an excellent teacher." "And much to learn," she whispered, leaning closer. As their lips met, her bioluminescence flared brilliantly, visible even from the distant palace towers. It would become known among Xylorians as the Ambassador's Light, a new pattern in their ancient visual language that had no direct translation but was universally understood to mean the moment when barriers between worlds began to dissolve.